So in this fifth and final part of this series on addiction and negative habits, we're going to look at some self-kindness, some compassion, and being on your own team. So let's get into it. So for this video, I want to look at some things I've learned from Gabor Mate, Kornfield and Jordan Peterson about forgiveness, kindness, and a bit of perspective on how addiction could have affected us from the point where we initially were triggered or were engaged in the need for something external to make us happy, and how we can go about using some psychological techniques to break it down. Jordan Peterson and Kornfield are clinical psychologists, and Gabor Mate is a medical doctor, so we're in good hands here. Really, before we get into this, having troubles with addiction, it really helps to think outside yourself. I'm not saying it's selfish or narcissistic, because I believe that addiction is a problem, is a real problem, and is a form of illness. It's doing things even though you don't want to do them necessarily. So it's not this narcissistic, hedonistic thing. It's an urge and a pull that we don't seem to have been taught through childhood or have the tools to deal with for something that's very alluring. So you want to really engage in how it's affecting other people, and that an external motivator can be very useful. Think of your partner, think of your kids, think of your parents, think of your friends. If you don't want to necessarily change for yourself, you may be able to tap into that motivation to change for others. That's the first thing. Second thing is forgiveness. You're not, I love this one from Joe Rogan, you're not your thoughts. You're not you 10 years ago, you're not you a year ago, you're not you a week ago. You're you now in the present, and to make decisions and make changes, the route into that is through forgiveness. Forgiving yourself, forgiving other people, because often we either are in an addictive behavior or negative thought patterns because we don't believe in ourselves, or blaming ourselves, or blaming other people. And if you can begin to forgive yourselves and others, that's a really good start. And other than forgiveness, being other orientated, self-kindness and self-compassion is crucial. Kornfield talks about replacing negative, using mindfulness, he's a meditation teacher, using mindfulness and then replacing negative thinking with positive thinking. Being on your own side, wanting the best for yourself is not selfish at all, because improving yourself will help you improve your relationships, your connections, you'll be able to be there for others even more. So trying to replace negatives after trying to replace positives, replace negatives with positives after noticing negative thought patterns is a great way, a great psychological tool of rewiring the way you talk to yourself and you talk to others. The second way would be, and this comes from Gabor Mate, genuinely being kind to yourself. Addiction is a problem that has a solution, but it comes from compassion. You know, you didn't get here by chance. You got here through negativity, perhaps resentment, negative self-talk, and perhaps some thoughts of not necessarily worthlessness, but like what's the problem of just doing these things that are negatively affecting me. So being kind to yourself, being compassionate is a great place to start. And then I love this one from Jordan Peterson. It's one of his 12 rules for life. He says, treat yourself as if you're somebody you're responsible for caring for. So I love that. Like, would you act this way, or would you treat a close friend this way, or a partner this way, or a child that way? And it's not just about treating them through actions, it's about treating them through how you speak to yourself, or how you treat yourself by speaking to yourself. I'll come back to this in a second, but I love this quote from Wentworth Miller. He says that if I spoke to my friends how I speak to myself, I would have no friends. And I think that's so true. Like, we don't take the advice we would give our friends very often. And when it comes to addiction and negative habits, if you can take yourself outside of yourself and imagine you're offering advice to your friend, like, James, what would I do if my friend came to me with this problem? I would give them this advice. Then just take that advice. You would be kind, but you would be firm. and you'd want the best for that person. So wanting the best for yourself would often mean either reducing your vices and your addictive behaviours, or in some cases stopping them altogether. And if you can take this position of kindness and compassion with the mindfulness, with the habit change, with the replacing of negative activities with positive ones, you'd be in a much better position to tackle your issues. So I hope these methods have been useful, and I've struggled with addiction, and many people I know have as well. And all of us have used some combination of these: some perspective, some kindness, some forgiveness, some habit change, some mindfulness, and some introduction of a positive activity or behavior in their life. And I really hope that all these methods together can give you an accessible toolkit for addiction. As ever, any problems, queries, issues, you can contact me on my website, simplesherpa.co.uk, or in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to help you and advise you. As again, I say, I'm not a clinician, I'm not playing a doctor on the internet, as Tim Ferriss says, but I have been through these things. I have methods and applications that have helped me, and I hope now you have some tools as well. So until next time, take care, my friends.